Welcome to possibly the highest, tallest Google Hangout. We're at the top of Shard, which is Western Europe's tallest building. And in about an hour, we're going to be hosting an album launch party somewhere here or downstairs? Here, on this very floor that we're sitting on now. But welcome, world. We're above and beyond. We're really glad to see you.
And yep, we're, like Tony says, we're only like 5 minutes away from our Anjuna Beats headquarters and the album where we finished We're All We Need. So, you know, I've walked past here, Tony's walked past here. I mean, this is really such a central, iconic building, and it feels like it's been at the sort of heart of the period in our lives when the album got finished. So we couldn't really host it anywhere better, I think. So we're really chuffed that we could do it here. So we wanted you to join us here as well. So what better way than hosting a Google Hangout? So welcome.
Definitely. We've got 5 people on the line. So you've got lots of questions to ask, and also we've got some questions from Facebook apparently as well. So let's get started. On line 1, I believe we have Michelle Gardner. Hello, Michelle. Sorry.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for doing this. This is awesome. My first question for you is, you've mentioned in previous Q&As that tracks often go through a lot of revisions before the final version is chosen for the album. Which song on We Are All We Need has had the most revisions before receiving the final thumbs up?
I think I can answer that one. I think it's Peace of Mind, because we're just making the extended mix of that today. We've been playing out a version, but we're just tweaking a couple of things for clubs, and that one's on version 66 as of 20 minutes ago. So I think that's the highest number we've got on any song to date, isn't it? Probably.
I think, is Blue Sky actually not even higher?
I think all over the world, probably. I mean, it has to be.
No, I think Blue Sky actually might be higher than all over the world, actually. Yeah.
I think it's Blue Sky
because that's had many different versions.
Yeah, because we started working on that.
But I think, in one song, in one arrangement, I think the highest is 66.
Amazing.
That answers it.
Do you get tired of listening to it after so long?
Oh, yeah.
It takes a while. When the album comes out, it does take a while for you to be able to listen to it in the car, because when you're listening to it for work, it's quite an exhaustive process to be listening to every single part of that record rather than just enjoying it. So it still feels a little bit like work to me when I put it on. It reminds me of still working on it. But I can listen to Group Therapy now, and it just sounds like a record. So we'll get this album. We'll get there, hopefully.
Yeah,
it takes a few years then.
It's the album since it came out, actually.
Who's next? Oh, sorry. So for the next question, my script, which I was ignoring, we're heading somebody in London. It's Ramesh.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you, mate?
I'm just in Shoreditch at the minute, actually, so not too far from where you guys are.
Can you see the Shard from your window?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Wow, wicked. What's your question?
To all of you, really. If you could relive or experience again a single moment from your careers, what would it be? Just whether that's in the studio or a live moment or just on the streets, is there any moment in time, just that if you could relive that?
I'd love to do Madison Square Garden again, knowing what was going on, because there was so much to think about. I wasn't really in the moment for a lot of that gig, and I really wish I had been, because looking back on the video, it looked amazing. But there was so much to think about with the radio show and all the links that we had to do and the timings of it all, and there was so much new music in the set. I think I was just a bit in my own head at that point. And then it wasn't until afterwards when one of the managers of the venue gave us this lovely silver ticket of the evening that said Above and Beyond live at Madison Square Garden on October the 18th. And I looked at it, I was like, shit, we just played Madison Square Garden. But up until that point, it was a bit of a blur for me. So I'd like to go back to that, personally.
Yeah, I agree with Tony on that, because some of those big gigs, they form a bit of a blur, really. But generally, I don't know, I prefer to look forward rather than relive things. I think. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the future.
Okay. But we're back. So I think we've got Catherine Ross there on the line, and I think you're.
I am.
Where are you?
I am in New York.
Oh,
Wow.
my God. Where are you at Madison Square Garden?
I was, and it was the most unbelievable show I've ever seen.
Thank you.
We had an incredible time there too. So
So you ready for my
I
question?
think
Yeah.
we've got some questions.
All right. So I know that everyone who's on the call right now could hear Tony humming and singing a little bit during sound check, but the rest of the world couldn't. So that's actually part of my question. So Black Room Boy is one of my favorite tracks from Group Therapy, and I absolutely love Tony's vocals. Will we be hearing any more vocal stylings from Tony on this or any of the upcoming albums?
No. Yeah, there's a song on the album called Excuses, which I sing in a staunchly British accent. So I hope you like that one too.
Absolutely, I'm sure I will.
It's my question, sorry. Yeah, another online question actually this time. Craig Bailey asks how we come up with track names on the album songs. Tony comes up with most of the names for everything that we do, really, don't you?
Not the songs,
most of them.
Most of the song names are the song names. But there is a funny story about the instrumental on the album, which is called...
Oh, out of time, because we ran out of time.
Yeah. So that's why that's called that.
What a track. There you go. But yeah, most of the songs, I guess... I'm not thinking correctly, because actually it's when we do instrumentals, you often come up with the names.
Oh, okay.
But the kind of songs are normally pretty obvious, I think.
So I think Zoe came up with the names for pretty much all the songs that she's singing.
Definitely.
Justin, with us actually, we were talking about it, but she came up with Little Something.
It's funny how that's ended up being the title, because we were so uncertain about the chorus of that song for such a long time that it might have been called something else if the chorus had changed. But I think in the end we all realised the chorus was fantastic as it was, and so it's still called Little Something. Yes. So we're going to go back down the line now.
Michelle, you're up.
Yeah, because we know everybody's got
All right.
questions.
My turn again. You mentioned in the past the likes of Sun and Moon and Thing Called Love were being written when you were writing the Ocean Lab album. Are there any songs on We Are All We Need that were originally destined for group therapy? I think you alluded a little bit to Little Something possibly being one.
Yeah, Little Something was one that was in the running for group therapy. We just couldn't finish it in time. Blue Sky Action, trying to think. No, actually, that wasn't.
There's a song called Home, which we really wanted to try and finish for group therapy, but we could never get working. And then we tried to get it finished for this one, and we still can't get it working. I think that's probably going to be discarded now. You know, having had 2 attempts at the fence and failing twice. So.
Yeah, sometimes you get a track like Sun and Moon. We had different versions of it that didn't quite work. We couldn't find a version we were happy with, but we knew the song was strong. So there are a few of those that have been written for this album that will probably get passed on to the next one. Actually, quite a few, because we had a lot of tracks for this album, Because I think when we did group therapy, we were in a position where we had a lot of leftovers, if you like, from Ocean Lab that we couldn't finish. And I think for the next album, we'll be in that same position, because we wrote a lot of new material for this one.
Yeah, and I think this time around we were really in a situation where initially our thinking was, let's write lots of songs, and then let's pick the very, very best for the album. Maybe 9, 10 songs for the album, and then we ended up with so many, and actually got to the point where it all started working as an album together so well. So yeah, we got 16 tracks on this album, and then probably another sort of 5 or 6
easily
sort of half-finished things.
Yeah.
But I think
in the back.
the thing we did is we wrote a lot of tracks out of the studio, which is good and bad, because the thing is, a lot of those tracks weren't written at a dance tempo, so we couldn't end up really using them, and then we would have ended up with an album with too many down-tempo tracks. So maybe you'll see some of those appearing on acoustic instead, because I think they're more suitable for that than maybe for our dance albums.
So Ramesh, we hear you've got another question for us as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you already spoken about Madison Square Gardens, but I was just wondering, aside from that, because that was pretty iconic, are there any venues or cities that you love going back to, or you always look forward to playing in?
Well, I'm sure I speak for a little bit of all of us. Buenos Aires is my favourite city in the world. I think it just pipped Barcelona for me. It's extraordinary there. The architecture is amazing. The people are amazing. The weather's generally fabulous. The food is incredible, and the parties there have an intensity that is difficult to match anywhere else. I'm sure the people watching in Argentina will be loving me for saying this, but it really is a very special and intense place to play, so that's my favourite place.
Yeah, I think for me at the moment, the US probably has the best dance scene in the world right now, just because of what's happening over there. I think particularly the West Coast for me, California, just I don't know if there are any parties in the world quite like what goes on there. So that's mine. Probably.
Yeah, and like I would probably be lying if I didn't say that I'm always looking forward to our next gig in Helsinki or Tampere or Turku. There's something about the Finnish party scene and our sort of like, it's home, but it's also like our history sort of interleaved with the Finnish thing. We've had so many Finnish artists over the years on the label, and still have, and it, like there's something about the atmosphere in the Finnish parties that's still kind of unlike anywhere else. We literally just played there last Saturday, and I'm still grinning.
I'd also say London as well, but I'm biased, aren't I? Is it me? Oh yeah, it is me. I can't pronounce this name. Luke. This is from an online question. Luke Barkos, yeah, was wondering if we'll be doing club versions of more down-tempo tracks like Little Something. Hope so. Some of those are quite difficult to do because, like I was saying earlier about the writing process, sometimes the tempo of the vocal falls between two stalls and it's in what we call no man's land. When you can't, sometimes you can double the tempo underneath something to turn it into dance track, or yeah, I mean that's one way you can do those kind of half-tempo tracks is by doubling the tempo. I don't know the tempo of Little Something actually.
I think it's quite doable actually.
We're gonna work out a way to do it, I'm sure. But yeah, is the answer to the question.
So Sammy, what's your next question for us?
Ramesh kind of touched on this, but I promised my mate that I was going to ask it anyway. So one of my most memorable moments was seeing you live at Oval Space a few years ago during the London Olympics. If you could choose one gig to relive, what would it be and why?
Did we sort of answer that?
I know, yeah, you kind of answered. I've got a third question if you want me to ask that instead.
Come up with another question because we sort of answered that.
Okay. If given the opportunity, would you consider producing a second Ocean Lab album?
Given the opportunity, would
definitely.
we consider?
I'd love to do another Ocean Lab album, definitely. It's just
We would love you to do another Ocean Lab album.
I don't know. You guys?
I think the key part of the question is if you had the opportunity. I think when we did that, we've always been touring pretty intensely, but there were, I think, less gigs in the diary back then than there are now. So it's really about finding the time to do it.
And I think what it's really about, and the answer to that question is that we love working with Justine and look forward to doing more music with her. And I think if it leads to an album, and it's called Ocean Lab, that's awesome. But I also hope that, the main thing really is that we keep working together and keep doing tracks together.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
She's coming tonight. We'll pass on your love to her.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
So Emma, you've got another question for us.
Yes. Which song on the album is closest to your heart, and can you share with us why?
Tony, do you want to start?
In
Or
terms of
anyone.
being to my heart, that's difficult. I mean, I always think these kind of questions, it's like picking a favorite child, and so many of them have things that are close to
Yeah.
our hearts, and picking one above the other kind of is rather difficult and not always the best thing. If you've got kids, you can't really have a favorite kid.
But
I've
one
only
that you're
got
close
one.
to.
But I mean, I guess the one that I ended up singing, Excuses, was inspired and kind of is in a metaphorical sense about my mum, who's not very well at the moment, and I'm trying to be as encouraging to her as I can. And it takes the
Okay.
story a little bit further than it might do if I was singing it to my mum, but the sentiment is based on that, so that's quite an emotional song for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's hard to pick one. I mean, I really like Peace of Mind. I think that's a great track on the album. Counting Down the Days is also a favorite of mine, just because I think the lyric is so simple and on point. I think everyone's been through that at some point. And also Out of Time, just because it's a nice instrumental track, I think, on the album. And yeah, just nice how that came about, and I like that one.
I think for me, like right now, probably Sing the Lighthouse from the new album. It was written, during a really super dark moment in not only mine, but like almost like a collective moment. I felt like there was a moment a couple of years ago where things were looking rather dim, and a lot of the energy went into the music, and somehow it was almost like a release of all of that dark energy, and things sort of turned much better than I could have ever imagined. And I think that, like, I love that about music. Somehow, it can be a really therapeutic thing, pouring all that sort of
Yeah, I mean,
emotion into music, and then it sort of releases it, and then you can share it with other people. And
I think you've already shared this, so it doesn't hurt to say that
Yeah.
the music was written for his dad's funeral, but his dad is still alive, and he was
Oh,
worried
okay.
that he was going to go down a path
better now.
where he might die, and then so that was a really powerful bit of music, I think.
Wow.
I hope that answers your question. I've got
Yes,
to
thank you very much.
I think we've got time for one more question from the internet. I don't have a question.
we don't have a question, but we do apologise for the noise. People are setting up the bar, and our managers just said to say sorry for the noise. So sorry for the noise.
It's okay.
Yeah, should we go on to the next one then?
Yeah.
Catherine, you're a chef, so this is a
I
food-based
am.
question.
It is a food-based question. So I'd love to bring you guys some food when you play Camden next month, because I'm going to go see you. So what's your favorite thing to tuck into at home or when you're on the road?
Oh God, specialist subject here. Do you want me to kick off? No, I mean, I'm a complete chocoholic, so there's that. But there's a few things that I really like at the moment. Chocolate is one of them. Matcha tea I've got into through Parvo. It's just an amazing Japanese tea. Love red wine, steak. Sushi, actually. I'm into Parvo is a sushi man, but I do like a bit of sushi as well. But next up.
Yeah, there's a restaurant near me which is a Danish sushi restaurant called Sticks and Sushi. Apparently they're all over Denmark. We're going to be in Denmark in a couple of days' time, so I hope to be able to go to one there. It's my favourite restaurant, and they do this incredible rice paper duck roll. It's cold. It's just incredible. That's my favourite thing.
And I'm really, really, really into not only enjoying a perfect latte, but trying to make one. So I've been really brushing up on my barista skills. That's where all we need has been written.
You've sort of worked your way up the rungs of the ladder. He started with Starbucks, and now he's got his own machine.
That's the thing, there's these really deep subjects in life, like music and photography. And I thought, like, maybe, like, you can never say that you can really, you're a perfect musician, or like you really know how to take photos. I thought there will be a point at which you can say, okay, I can make the perfect latte, but I think it's actually a deeper subject than I initially thought.
I think you're probably one of the foremost experts on milk frothing, I'd say.
I'm sure there are people that are much more advanced in the study of the milk
It's all
frothing
about the
process.
size of the bubbles, though, I'm told.
Yeah, you have to have a good microphone. Well, but food-wise, we were just in Japan beginning of this month, and every time I go to Japan, I'm absolutely blown away by the variety of food and how good it makes you feel when you have it. And what probably again like one of my favorite meals that we had in Japan this time around was just the pretty low-key, amazing soba place that we found in Harajuku, and just the way Japanese people serve food and the sort of I don't know. Yeah, you have to go. Go to Japan and eat.
Well, I'm definitely going to bring some tasty treats for you guys for the Camden show, so you guys can keep your energy up to entertain everyone.
Are you coming to Camden, New Jersey?
I am.
Fantastic. It's our first time there. Have you been before?
I have not, but I will travel anywhere in the United States to see you guys. So.
Cool. Hope that answers the question. Oh, we've got one more
it
question. We're having a flag waved at us.
You're running out.
Oh, I'm rounding it up. It says on the script, all right. So that just about rounds things up. Thank you everyone for your questions, and sorry we couldn't get through more, but I'm sure we'll answer some more on ABGT this Friday.
Yeah, well, thanks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all of your support on We Are All We Need. Seeing these inflated chart positions all around the world has just been a really pleasant surprise. So thanks everybody for buying the album and giving us a week we'll never forget. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Actually,